Jack had just unscrewed his water bottle cap when he froze. He noticed his fingernails turning purple at an alarming rate. His professional instincts kicked in immediately. This was a classic sign of systemic oxygen deprivation. Before he could react, the plastic bottle collapsed in his hand while glass cups on the table began to tremble. Flight attendant Lisa sensed something was wrong too. She quickly returned to her seat, buckled up, and instructed passengers to secure their seatbelts. Before she could finish her announcement, the plane plunged into a thunderstorm. Everything not secured suddenly floated in mid-air. Passengers without seatbelts were violently thrown against the cabin ceiling like human kites, bouncing wildly in the turbulence as the entire cabin shook violently. Terrified passengers clutched their armrests for dear life, praying they'd survive this ordeal. Meanwhile, the captain, sensing danger, promptly put on his oxygen mask. As cabin pressure plummeted, oxygen masks dropped from overhead compartments. Passengers scrambled to secure them, but Jack's wife was too slow and began losing consciousness from oxygen deprivation. Unbeknownst to everyone, a young girl was trapped in the bathroom at the back of economy class. She desperately pounded on the door but eventually collapsed in the tiny space, suffering from both the violent turbulence and lack of oxygen. Jack risked his life by unbuckling his seatbelt to save his wife. He stumbled toward the flight attendant station, found a portable oxygen tank in the emergency supply box, and administered oxygen to his wife just in time to pull her back from the brink of death. Surprisingly, when the plane finally stopped shaking, the cabin pressure gauge mysteriously returned to normal. Everyone thought the crisis was over until George in business class suddenly developed dilated pupils and bulging neck veins, struggling desperately to breathe. Flight attendant Lisa urgently requested medical assistance over the PA system. As George's condition deteriorated, he frantically stuck his fingers down his throat in a desperate attempt to breathe. Seconds later, he violently vomited blood before his entire body began convulsing. Jack, a doctor, rushed over but found George's symptoms puzzling and difficult to diagnose quickly. Amid horrifying screams, George's heart stopped beating. The captain immediately reported the death to air traffic control, who instructed the crew to delay announcing the death to prevent mass panic. But strange phenomena began occurring throughout the cabin. Annie was the first to notice something wasn't right when she glimpsed a ghostly figure reflected in her laptop screen. When she turned around, she saw only an empty seat. Thinking it was just her imagination, she didn't mention it to her husband beside her. Meanwhile, the crew had moved George's body to the upper deck business section and covered it with a blanket. About an hour later, an opportunistic thief sneaked upstairs, having noticed George's expensive Rolex while the crew was moving the body. After removing the watch, instead of leaving immediately, the thief paused to record a video showing off his new acquisition. As he made an offensive gesture toward the camera, George's head suddenly turned. Then the deceased man stood up, causing the thief to let out a blood-curdling scream.